Hello everybody, I am Mrs. Poppet and this is my place. Welcome, I am so happy to see that you came again today for another story time. I've picked out a very good one. It's called The Four Skillful Brothers. Have you ever heard this story? Well, we're going to read it now. The Four Skillful Brothers. There once was a poor man who had 4 sons. When they had grown up, he said to them, "My dear children, you must now go out into the world, for I have nothing to give you. Go abroad and learn a trade, and see whether you can make a living." So the 4 brothers took their sticks, said farewell to their father, and traveled off together. After some time they came to a crossroads that branched in 4 different directions. The eldest said, "Here is where we must separate, but on this day in 4 years' time we will meet again on this spot. In the meantime we will seek our fortunes." Then each of them went his own way. The eldest met a man who asked him where he was going and what he was intending to do. "I want to learn a trade," he replied. "Come with me and be a thief," said the man. "No," the eldest son answered, "that is not a reputable trade, and it ends with swinging on the gallows." "Oh," the man said, "you need not be afraid of the gallows. I will teach you to steal things no one else could, and no one will ever detect you." The eldest brother was talked into it and became an accomplished thief. He was so dexterous that nothing he desired was safe from him. The second brother met a man who asked him what he wanted to learn in the world. "I don't know yet," the second brother replied. "Then come with me. Be an astronomer. There is no better profession, for nothing is hidden from one who can see the stars." The second brother liked this idea and became such a skillful astronomer that his master gave him a telescope and said, "With this you can see everything on earth or in the heavens. Nothing can be concealed from you." A huntsman took in the third brother and gave him excellent training. Once he was experienced, the huntsman gave him a gun and said, "It will never fail you. You are certain to hit whatever you aim at." The fourth, the youngest brother, also met a man who inquired what his intentions were. "Wouldn't you like to be a tailor?" the little man asked. "No, I don't think so," said the youth. "Sitting doubled up morning till night, driving a needle back and forth, doesn't appeal to me." "Oh, but you are speaking in ignorance," answered the little man. "With me you would learn a very different kind of tailoring, one that's useful, honorable, and full of interest." The younger brother let himself be persuaded and went with the man to learn his art. When they eventually parted, the man gave the youth a needle and said, "With this you can sew together whatever you given. Whether it is soft as an egg or hard as steel, it will become one piece and no seam will be visible." When the 4 years were over, the 4 brothers arrived back at the crossroads, embraced each other, and returned home to their father. "So now," he said, quite delighted, "the wind has blown you back again to me." They told him that each had learned his own trade. They were sitting in front of their house under a large tree, and the father said, "I will put you all to the test, to see what you can do." He looked up and said to his second son, "Between the 2 branches at the top of this tree, there is a Shavana's nest. Tell me how many eggs are in it." The astronomer took his telescope and looked up and said, "There are 5. Then the father said to the eldest brother, "Fetch the eggs down without disturbing the birds sitting on them." The skillful thief climbed up and took the 5 eggs from beneath the bird. She never noticed what he was doing and remained quietly sitting where she was. He brought them down to his father. The father took them, placed them in a row down on the table, and said to the huntsman, "With one shot, shoot the 5 eggs in 2 through the middle." The huntsman aimed, and with one shot broke all 5 eggs, as the father had asked. "Now it is your turn," the father said to the 4th son. "You will sew the eggs together again, and the young birds inside them as well, and you must do it so that they are not hurt by the shot." The tailor brought his needle and sewed them as his father wished. Then the thief climbed back up the tree again and put the mended eggs under the bird without her being aware of it. After a few days, the eggs hatched and the baby birds crept out. They had a red line round their necks where they had been sewn together by the tailor. "Well," said the father to his sons, "you really ought to be praised to the skies. You have used your time admirably, and each have learned something that will serve you well. I can't say which of your professions will be the most useful. That will be proved with time and opportunity." Not long after this, there was a great uproar in the country because a dragon had carried off the king's daughter. The king was deeply troubled, and he proclaimed that whoever brought the princess back would be married to her. The four brothers said to each other, "Here's a fine opportunity to show what we can do." "I will soon know where she is," said the astronomer, and looked through his telescope. "I see her already. She is far away from here on a rock in the sea, and the dragon is beside her watching her." He went to the king's and asked for a ship for himself and his brothers, and they sailed over the sea until they came to the rock where the king's daughter lay. The dragon was lying on her lap, asleep. The huntsman said, "I dare not shoot the dragon. I could kill the beautiful girl at the same time." "Then I will try my art," said the thief. He crept to the rock and stole the girl from under the dragon so quietly and dexterously the monster never noticed it, but just kept on snoring. Full of joy, they hurried off with her, steering the ship out into the open sea. But then the dragon woke, and finding no princess there, followed the ship, snorting angrily through the air. Just as he was circling, about to descend onto them, the huntsman shouldered his gun and shot him through the heart. The monster fell down dead, but he was so large and powerful that his fall shattered the whole ship. The four brothers and the princess caught hold of the planks to keep afloat, but they were in peril on the open sea. Then the tailor took his wondrous needle, and with a few stitches sewed the planks back together. They all sat on this raft and collected fragments of the ship. The tailor sewed all of these so skillfully together that in a very short time the ship was once more seaworthy. They could go home. When the king had his daughter back safely, and there was great rejoicing, everybody was so thrilled. He said to the four brothers, "One of you can marry her, but you must settle amongst yourself which of you it will be." Then a heated argument arose among them, as each thought his own trade was the most vital. The astronomer said to his brothers, "If I had not seen the princess, all your arts would have been useless." The thief said, What would have been the use of your seeing if I had not gotten her away from the dragon?" The huntsman said, "You three and the princess would have been torn to pieces by the dragon if my shot had not hit him." And the tailor said, "And if I by my art had not sewn the ship together again, you would have been miserably drowned." The king, listening, pronounced his verdict. "Each one of you has an equal right, and as you cannot all have the princess, none of you shall have her. Instead, I will give each of you a quarter of the kingdom as a reward." The brothers were pleased with this decision and said that was much better than fighting with each other. Each of them received a quarter of the kingdom, and they lived with their father in the greatest happiness as long as it pleased God. Wasn't that a wonderful story? All those brothers learned something very different, but they all needed their skill to accomplish the goal. So that's the moral here. We need to remember that working together, everybody can get something to make them happy. I'm so glad you joined me again today for another story time, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.